Welcome to Bootcamp session for Tridion Sites 10.1. I am Natalia Napriyenko, and today I will be presenting a granular blueprinting feature. So blueprinting and localization is a key functionality of Tridion Sites. However, it has a number of challenges. Localizing an item is currently all or nothing. Also, once you localize the item, it basically losing the connection with its parent. For example, if you change a value in the parent, it needs to be manually applied to all localized children. Another challenge that if you are a local editor in some regional publication, you may unintentionally change fields or page regions that should be kept in sync with the parent. So basically, Tridion Sites 10.1 introduces a solution to this limitation, and it's called granular blueprinting. So let me first start to explain how it's working for fields level. So granular blueprinting allows content modelers to define which fields you want to keep shared when you localize the item. So you can do it for content and metadata fields. And with that, you can localize component or organizational item, but keep only some fields shared. For example, in my picture, you can see that you may want to localize or keep a non-localizable images field or author field. And basically, it means that you can only modify it in a primary parent item, and the change is automatically propagated to all your local copies. With this approach, you can reuse the content even more efficiently across the publications. And also, it allows you to restrict accidentally modifying the fields in child publication. So shared fields are only editable in a global publication, which is basically in your primary item. And in local copies, those shared fields are disabled from editing, and they always inherit the values from a global publication. So how you can make a field non-localizable? So we basically introduced a new setting per each field type. So it's called localizable. By default, it's checked. So if you're upgrading, all your fields will stay localizable basically and behave same as before. If you want to make a field non-localizable, you just uncheck this checkbox. So a little bit how it's working for embedded schema fields. Yeah, this is a quite complex field, right, where you can have the embedded schema field and inside a list of different fields. To support non-localizable embedded schema field, we introduced a unique identifier. And with that identifier, we can easily identify field instances. Each field instance will get this unique identifier, and we can easily match them between parent and local copy items. So if you make entire embedded schema field to be non-localizable, so what it means, how it works, in local copy, basically, you cannot add, remove, or reorder values. And basically, the order always kept in sync with its parent item. However, inside, individual fields can be either localizable or non-localizable, and those fields is controlled by settings of the embeddable schema itself. So you may notice that at this screenshot, so the buttons are just hidden at remove or reorder buttons are hidden. So if you choose to make the embedded schema field localizable, then in local copy, you can move, add, or remove, change the order of values inside this field. However, again, inside this field, individual fields are controlled by non-localizable settings of the embeddable schema itself. So if you just reorder the values in local copy, because there is a unique identifier, we can still match them and we can still sync non-localizable field with its parent. However, if in local copy or in parent you start adding or removing fields, since the entire field is localizable, yeah, the ECM cannot sync them anymore. Basically, at some point, right, they just become out of sync because every new added field will not appear in local copy, and other way around, if you add to local copy, there is nothing to match with in parent item. This is an example basically how it looks like if you have multi-level of embeddable schema fields. So you may have top level non-localizable inside another schema field, which is localizable, and then inside a mix of different fields, localizable or non-localizable. So versioning and items history, how this is working for versions. So if you edit the parent item and change non-localizable field, it does not change a local copy version. So basically, it does not increase local copy version. However, when you edit the local copy, right, and you change some fields and do check-in, so for non-localizable fields, we basically snapshot the values in that fields. So it means that it basically freezes the values that are available at the moment when you check in the item. If you do rollback, then it resyncs the values back to parent item. So yeah, at this example, for example, I have like 4 versions of the item. The last version is always in sync with its parent. So I mean, the non-localizable fields is always in sync with its parent. However, for example, if you look at the version 2 or some older versions, you may see that non-localizable field shows a different value. And it's basically the value that was there when you created, when you checked in this item. Okay, let me show you the demo. So I have a component created in my global content publication, and it's using mix non-localizable, localizable fields. Let me just show how the schema looks like. Okay, yeah, I have all different fields, all of them localizables. Here's the settings, but I make some of the fields. Basically, I have embeddable schema field, which is non-localizable, but inside I have localizable fields, but also I decided to make the image or media non-localizable, you can see. And also some on the metadata field, I also have one non-localizable field inside the embeddable schema field. Yeah, it's the also one. Okay, now let me just show how it's working. So I will open the parent item in a tab. And also, I already localized this component in the child publication. Let me open it. So how it's working in the parent item, the non-localizable fields are marked with a specific icon. You can easily recognize them by this icon, and yeah, it has the tooltip as well. Similar in the child publication, those fields have specific icons. So now let me show how you can easily. So if you want to quickly update a part of component, right, some part of content, so those non-localizable fields you can update in a parent item. For example, I can update the image, something, and the finish. And if you look at the child item and I refresh, you can see that it's the changes propagated to local copy as well. So that's how you can easily change the parent item and plus all your localized components. At the same time, you can edit other fields, right, which should be localizable. So you can just something local copy. And maybe here, right? Finish. And again, if at some point I decide I would like to change the image across all my publications for this component, you can just do this change, finish, and you can see that in the child component, it's also updated. So yeah, I'm using just like one local copy, but yeah, it will be updated across your all entire blueprint structure. Basically, whenever in each publication where you localize this component, this field will be updated. But the rest of the field, right, that you should keep localizable and updated for that specific publication will stay unchanged. So you can see that all my changes to that local publication, yeah, is basically stays unchanged. Only non-localizable fields are updated. Yeah, so similar thing I can quickly show for metadata. Yeah, can change to something. So of course you can change any fields, right? You can also put here parent item, and yeah, this one. So just for notice, so I change the short title and I change author name. So then let me just refresh. If you look at the metadata, the fields that localizable, the changes are not propagated to local copies. However, the non-localizable fields are propagated to local copies. So you can see my change here. Yeah, so let me just now explain how the embedded fields working. So again, this component is using embeddable schema, and the entire field is said to be non-localizable. So how it looks in child. So basically in child, in a local copy, the buttons to add, remove, or reorder values inside this field is disabled. So basically this is controlled at the parent item. For example, if I decide to add new field instance. I don't know, let me just put something just to demonstrate. Maybe insert some image and the finish editing. Just refresh. So basically you can see the fields is also added into local copy. And yeah, of course, you can again localize those fields that should be localized for this publication. And let me also show how you can change the order. For example, the fields that I just added, I would like to put at the top, move up. Yeah, so now it's a first field. So C is the first field. Let me finish. And if I refresh, yeah, you can see that order also automatically applied to all your local copies. So in this case, the field also at the first position. However, you can see that localizable field stayed unchanged and well contains the value as you enter it for that specific publication. So this is the embedded schema fields. Another thing that I would like to show. Just open in a new tab. Yeah, I would like to show how the localizable embedded schema fields are working. So this is my parent item, and okay, I did not yet localize it. Let me just localize it. Just to see that I'm opening the right item. Content, articles. Yeah, this one. This is my parent. And yeah, I would like to localize in the child in the French publication. So let me just first localize it. Yeah, normally when you localize, you also edit some fields. Okay, so now let me show how it's working. So basically, when the entire embedded schema field is localizable, of course, you can add remove values in the parent item, right? Already added some values. Let me just for now remove it. And when you localize the item in a child publication, you can also remove, add values in local copy. However, so I first start with reordering. So that's where basically unique identifier is used. If I reorder the item, if I'll put the, for example, this one, the planes, or to the, just move up. So I will put it in the middle. In the child item, it's at the end. And still, if I start modifying the, let me just first save, I think, so I change the order, right? So let me just finish editing this one, refresh. I just want to show that in a local copy, this field at the end of the list. And here it's in the middle. And still, if I change the non-localizable fields, and the finish, and again, update the local copy. So you can see that the field, the image is changed. Even though the order is changed, we still can detect and update the non-collapsible fields. So now what happens if you start adding the new field to parent item? So let it be something Finish. Refresh the local copy. Yeah, you can see that a new field instance is not added. Yeah, that's because the entire field is localizable and we don't add, remove, or reorder values in the local copies. Now, if I edit the local copy, you can do, of course, that as well. You can add new field here. Something. Yeah, you may notice that the non-localizable fields are not editable and does not have any value. It's because basically there is nothing, right? This field does not exist in the parent, so we don't know how to sync it. But yeah, of course, you can edit the rest of the fields. This is basically a side effect of using the schema field localizable, but inside the mix of non-localizable and localizable fields. So at this point, yeah, this is like completely new field that does not exist in parent, and there is nothing to sync with. So that's how this working. So let me see if I would like to show how the historical versions working. If I have enough, yeah, you can see that I created enough of versions. And for example, yeah, so if I open some historical versions like this one, you may see that the list is different, right? Even the image might be different because those contains the values that basically was there when you created this version of the item. So let me just now close all these things. Yeah, let me move back to the presentation. So that was about using non-localizable at the fields level. And now let me move to granular blueprinting for page regions. So with the granular blueprinting, you can now localize the page to translate the title, file name, or some metadata, but keep the page content like component presentation or certain regions shared. So you can see at the screenshot, right, that basically the regions that are non-localizable has specific icon. So if the region is non-localizable, then inside that region in a local copy, you cannot add, remove, or reorder the component list, and you can not also change the component template. However, in localizable regions, you can add, remove, or reorder components and also change a component template. And yeah, if you do any change in that region in the parent item, if you add component or reorder, all these changes will automatically propagate to all local copies. So how to make a region non-localizable? So there is now a new settings, the region schema, which called is localizable. And yeah, if you want to make it non-localizable, you just uncheck this checkbox. So by default, it's checked. And of course, you can localize the region schema right in the child publication. And we allow to do it if you want to change some settings. However, the localizable settings is not cannot be changed in a localized schema. Yeah, so how it's working for historical versions, same approach as I already explained for components. So when you check in, when you edit local copy and check in the non-localizable regions, it will snapshot list of components available at that point when you check in the page. For example, in version 3, right, which is maybe latest version, you may have 2 components in that region. But in version 2, when you created that version, there were only 1 component in that region. So, and that will be saved in a snapshot. When you roll back, it will automatically resync with the parent item. So it will show the latest changes in the non-localizable region. Yeah, of course, the non-localizable regions, the non-localizable fields can be used also at the region metadata. Here's an example. So you can mark any basically fields at the region metadata. Yeah, and now demo. So I will just go to my publication. That's where I created a page with the non-localizable regions. And as usual, let me just show how the schema looks like. This one. So this is basically my top region schema, and it's selected to be localizable. However, I have a number of nested regions. So one is localizable, another one is non-localizable. Yeah, I think I need to open it in okay, we'll show you from here. So yeah, what is interested, it's how the non-localizable looks like. So I have just this checkbox unchecked. And so let me show how it's working. This is the parent item. And let me open the child item. So basically, in a parent item, everything you can edit any region, right? You can add, remove the component. Doesn't matter if it's localizable or non-localizable. However, in the child, in the localized page, so you can change only localizable regions. Here, local editor can add, remove, or reorder the components. But in non-localizable, you cannot do it. So remove and add is disabled. And this region is marked that it can only be edited in the primary item. So let me just edit the, so first let me, so if I add, if I need to change the components in non-localizable regions, right? And I want those changes to be applied to all local copies. So I can just add one more component. Okay. And the finish editing. So let me go back to local copy and refresh. So you can see that the change is propagated to local page copy as well. However, I can keep changing localizable regions. And add one more component to it. Finish the page again, right? If I decide later that I want to, I don't know, maybe I will remove this and I want to add completely. And add this one. Editing and refreshing the local copy, so you can see the changes are propagated. Yeah, so you can, of course, keep entire region, right, non-localizable, and inside mix of localizable, non-localizable, and that's how you can easily update the some piece of the page, right, and keep it in sync with local copies. Yeah, quickly, same. Let me show metadata. So I do have a few fields in page metadata. For example, this one is localizable. And yeah, the keywords is non-localizable. I just will add one more. Finish editing the page. And let me show that those changes also propagated. So for the non-localizable, the change is not propagated, but for localizable, you can see that the keyword is also added. Yeah, that's how it's working for the page regions. Yeah, so next I would like to talk about how you can update your content to use non-localizable fields or regions. And for that one, we introduced a commandlet, which is called sync TCM schema changes. So you don't, when you upgrade, you don't necessarily need to use non-localizable regions, right? At some point, when you decide to use non-localizable regions, you can upgrade your schemas one by one. Yeah, so you just need to find what kind of regions, fields, and the page regions basically would like to make non-localizable. Then you start updating your schema one by one, manually selecting or unchecking the localizable for those fields or regions. And basically, if you have just few components or pages using that schema, you of course can update them manually by just opening and resaving. However, if you have already a lot of content using the schema, so you can use this schema, sync TCM schema changes commandlet, and basically it provides all different options. So you can use it to update the content with non-localizable regions, but we also made it in a way that you can use it to sync any changes you do with schema, even if you add new field or if you even change, basically any change in the schema, this commandlet you can use to update your existing content with that change. Yeah, so for embedded schema fields, it's a bit more complex, as I already mentioned it. So when you're upgrading, of course, your fields will not have any GUID. And the sync TCM schema changes can be used to update those fields to use a GUID. If you don't need to use non-localizable fields, yeah, of course, you should not be you should not do it. However, if you want to use non-localizable fields, yeah, we recommend to run this commandlet. Yeah, first of all, of course, you would change the schema, right? And then you run this commandlet. What it does, it first update parent items to and adds unique identifier, and then it goes and updates all the local copies. And it depends, basically. It tries to match all the fields as much as it can. So basically, it would match each field one by one, and add, depends on if it's localizable and non-localizable, will add the same unique identifier for both parent and local. Or if, for example, the number of field does not match, right? For example, if in local copy you have more fields than in parent, of course, those extra field will get its own unique identifier and will not sync to its parent item. Yeah, that's how it's working. Of course, we also thought how you can use this feature for legacy pages. And we came up with the following solution. So basically, if you're using legacy pages, which is pages, so those pages that are not using any regions, you can still use non-localizable regions feature. And for that one, you just need to create top-level page schema, which can be just like artificial page schema, and make it non-localizable. And then you can assign those page schema to page template and run the script that will update all your parent pages and the local copy pages with this schema change. So basically the page would look the same as your legacy page, but just top level region will be non-localizable. And with that, you can easily control adding, removing components on the parent, and those changes will be propagated to all your local copies. Yeah, another thing that we also changed, it's related to Translation Manager and non-translatable fields and regions. So basically, how Translation Manager working now before 10.1. So when you translate a component, TM would always override the fields in local copies with its parent values, even if the field is selected to non-translatable. So it will not be sent for translation, but Translation Manager will override that field with a parent value. In 10.1, we changed that behavior. So we made so TM now overrides. So basically, it's currently configurable, right? And within 10.1, Translation Manager does not override non-translatable fields anymore. And as I said, this settings is configurable. So if you want to keep old behavior and you're upgrading, so TM would still override. However, in Translation Manager configuration, you can change this behavior whether it will not override the non-translatable fields anymore. And of course, we changed the logic where we now merge translation into target item and we're excluding updating non-translatable fields. For example, on a screenshot, right, I have a notes fields which I set to be localizable but non-translatable. So it basically means that this field will not be sent to translation management system. However, you can manually change this field in a child publication. And if you make this change in the child publication and send this item to translation second time, the changes will stay in that field, so it will not be overwritten with a parent field item. For multimedia and components links, so we always, those are never overwritten anymore. So you can see on a second screenshot that they have another settings which called include linked items in translation. So this settings just controls whether you also want to include the linked component in a translation, but it does not mean it will change the value of this field. So if in local copy you select or link it to another component, those changes will not be overwritten. Same for regions. So since we introduced non-localizable regions, we also updated Translation Manager to not propagate the changes for localizable regions anymore. So if you have a localizable region on the page, right, in a local copy, you can change the list of components. And if you send such a page for translation, the list will not be changed. So basically, it will not be overwritten with the parent list of items. And we made one exception, basically, if it's a legacy page, which is not using any regions. In that case, Translation Manager would still sync the list of components. Okay, I can show the demo. So basically, here's my parent component already. I think I translated it at least once. Yeah. So if I open the parent component, so I'm using downloads, which is linked to a general legal notes component. And if I open it in a local or in a child publication, so it's the same, but I can change it here. Let me opt for editing. Just close all this thing. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I'm editing the local copy component. And for example, for French publication, I would like to change these notes to French legal notes. We'll finish it. And let me also change the parent. So I will just change those fields that I would like to be translated. Yeah, and now if I send this component second time to translation, I was yeah, let's wait. Yeah, another 10 seconds. Yeah, so now it's completed. So let me show how the translated component looks like. So you can see that the title, right, that I changed, it's actually translated, but the link that I changed in a local copy to point to French legal note is not overwritten anymore. Whenever in a parent publication or parent item will still contain the proper link, right? So it's a general legal notes, which is for English website. Okay. So getting back to presentation. Yeah, that was end of my session. Thank you everyone for joining and listening.